Matthias Stegmuller from our product department. Today, along with the help of this filter cutter, Matthias is going to take the mystery out of what's on the inside of an oil filter and why it is what is on the inside that is important, not what is said in a magazine ad or in television. So Matthias is going to cut apart this MAHLE Original filter and show us why MAHLE Original is the gold standard of oil filters.
Well, let me start from the beginning really quick. You could see that it was pretty hard to cut. There's a strong steel can here on the outside, the housing of it. But the a spin-on oil filter like this, it works as follows. Here's a gasket there. The dirty oil goes in here, and the clean oil comes out here. Now, what's inside? We cut this open. First, there's a check valve here that actually seals the oil from flowing out when the engine is turned off. That means you will always have oil in your filter, and the engine will be lubricated right from the beginning when you start it. So it prevents the oil from flowing out when the engine is not on and there's no oil going through it. So here we have the check valve, and then we'll take the whole element out. This is the filter element per se. We also have a good solid steel spring in the inside, which keeps tension on this element at all times. So the seal is perfect, and even with thermal expansion, which means when it gets hot it expands and it shrinks when it's cold, we always assure that there is a good seal. So here's the check valve, goes on like that. And here's the filter element that consists of end plates. We call them end plates. They're sheet metal end plates. The media is in here, which is basically it's a pleated filter paper that has also an embossing here in the inside, which means there are little bumps in there that are opposing each other. So that makes sure that the pleats have a certain distance, which you can see they're all nice and even. The distance is the same between the pleats, and even when the filter gets old and there's a lot of oil going through it, it prevents it from clogging up like this, which then would drastically reduce the filter media efficiency. Now you'd probably ask what is this band for? It's actually a manufacturing support. So when these end plates are attached to the filter media by adhesive, which you can see here, that it stays in a very cylindrical form, and also it stays during the lifetime of the filter like that. You can see what's very important, these nice end plates, they're filled with an adhesive here during the manufacturing process, and you can see all around that it's nice and even, assuring on both sides that there's no way of dirty oil coming from here, going around the filter paper and into what we call the clean side. Inside here you see something, it's hard to see, but there's a so-called bypass valve. It's easier to explain it from that side. There's also an elastomer gasket that makes sure that under normal conditions the oil comes from the outside and goes through here, and when there is a situation just like very thick oil because the engine is very cold, or you don't change your oil filter and there's a lot of dirt here, so pressure can build up and it opens this check valve. There's a spring behind it, it opens it, and the dirty oil can flow to the clean side, assuring that your engine at least gets oil, even though it's not filtered in a special occasion. That's basically it. Also, in a nutshell, the MAHLE oil filter, inside we have a inner steel tube that supports this, what we call the filter pack, because you can imagine when the engine runs and there's a lot of pressure on the on the oil system. There's a lot of pressure on this filter as well, and depending on the situation of the oil itself, the filtration, etc., this could collapse if it's not supported from the inside. So this is the MAHLE filter. I'm going to set that aside for now, and then we'll look at another one from one of our major American manufacturers.
That's very interesting, Dave. Let's see how this competitive filter stacks up to the MAHLE original.
Well, here, from a principle standpoint, it's the same function. Dirty oil enters here, and clean oil comes out here. There's supposed to be a gasket in there, and we have a check valve on this side. Does the same function. It assures that the oil doesn't come out. And we have a spring-loaded, non-integrated bypass valve, which I just explained. There's no elastomer gasket that completely seals it off, but you can see the spring loaded in here, which in this case here is actually integrated inside. But the spring function that we do with the MAHLE filter with this spring is actually done by that sheet metal piece here to hold that filter up. So there's not much movement here compared to this one here. So also it's very obvious that there are less pleats, meaning less pleats of filter media here, which means there's less filtration media, less filter paper in that filter. That means there's a higher pressure drop across this filter, and also it can't collect that much dirt in that media because you have less area. Less area can hold less dirt. What's really important here, compare this steel metal end plate to this paper cardboard end plate that's glued to the filter media here, and also on the other side. And we have a closed end plate, completely closed with the seal here, and this I'm not sure on how to call this, but this does the same function. It basically holds and cleans the oil while it goes through, and keeps the dirty side from the clean side sealed, more or less. If you compare the steel itself, just like that, you can see this one is very much thicker than that one. Put that one aside also now. Okay.
It's obvious that all filters aren't created equal. Let's see how this other leading manufacturer stacks up to the MAHLE original filter.
Well, here once again, I don't have to go into that again, dirty, clean side. This is an end plate. It's pretty heavy. In this case, the filter is constructed such that the bypass valve is actually this piece here, and the filter is completely closed. You have steel end plates, which are fairly comparatively speaking, fairly good. If we compare them to these here, you can see the pleats are also embossed, but this is a different embossing, where the embossing is not opposing to each other, so it could actually clog in a certain situation. But this is pretty good already. However, you can see there are less pleats and there's less paper in this one. The pleats are not as close together as here, and they're not as straight. So we're putting more paper into the filter as much as we can, as much as the application requires. We also have a spring here. It does the same function, and this check valve I mentioned before. It's a separate piece. Works pretty well. the steel is somewhat flimsier than a MAHLE steel. You can actually see it on the thickness. So that's important because you, in a driving situation, your engine actually has a lot of pulsation, and we need to make sure, based on our original equipment manufacturer specifications, that it never happens that a filter actually breaks apart and you lose oil, and therefore you can damage or wreck your engine. We have, before I forget, we have a inner tube here, a support tube, which I was talking before, which we have in this one as well. So I'm going to set these out just as a comparison to finish this up. We have a MAHLE filter here. This is the MAHLE filter, and these are two major competitors.
Thank you, Matthias. That's very interesting. As you can see, there's a lot of difference inside an oil filter. They may look similar on the outside, but there's a great difference on the inside, and MAHLE Original is head and shoulders above our competitors. Demand the best. Demand MAHLE Original filters. Also, if you're interested in any of our MAHLE products, go to our website at www.mahleknechtt.com, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.